So we got a cold open today, Kate, because I got some you're going to love this, okay? Because one, it's going to prove you right, for one. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were proved right in the previous episode. I conceded. But here's even more proof. Holthead Danielle hit me up, and she was like, yo, Kate's dead right about the funeral burial stuff, okay? Like the embalming, about how it it doesn't go back to the earth, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And she was saying that she read this book called Smoke Gets in Your Eyes about the funeral industry. And I'm telling you this. I'm going to start reading this book tonight. All right? Because it sounds so dope. It just describes everything we're talking about and how the industry is the way it is because of the way that we treat death. And how it's crazy and insane, but it's the way that we want it as people. Like when we sit... Anyway, point is, not only are the coffins super thick and metal or whatever... but they're also put into a cement box in the ground. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't realize that. I thought it would just be coffin to dirt.
No, and the dirt you see is from when they dig it up and dirt falls back in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I conceded that, yes.
So, 1 point Kateline, 0 Kurt Money.
Attention shoppers, we've got to clean up on Aisle H.
What the other wolves think?
A true crime cleanup on Aisle H.
Diabolical.
Starting now.
No, he's telling you that she's bats.
Howdy, Wholeheads. Kurt Money here, alongside my co-host,
Kateline.
And we are here with a brand new episode of True Crime Cleanup on Aisle H. And today we're cleaning up the Paramount Plus show, FBI True.
In the FBI, we make a lot of headlines.
What's your history with FBI True, Kate?
I had never heard of it until you told me to watch this.
Yep.
It's a weird title for a show.
True
what?
Here's my own personal opinion. It might have been called True FBI instead of like True Crime or something, but the bean counters at P Plus were like, no, FBI has to be the first word for search results. So call it FBI True, is what I think.
True cases?
I don't know.
True murders?
Yeah.
True what?
Who freaking knows? I mean, you know what? According to the opening title sequence, you know what's true are the stories that we're about to hear, because this is told from the perspective of the FBI, and these are things that they don't tell everybody.
We save that for each other when we're talking agent to agent.
That's why the premise of this show, it's one retired agent talking to another over some beers.
So then it's true. It's FBI : True Stories.
That title would make more sense. Yes, absolutely. But it is just called FBI True. There's not a colon in sight.
Nope.
It's weird as hell. Here's one thing we got to give it points for. These babies are shorties. They're like 22, 23 men.
Love a good shorty.
Yeah. Now, I watched a handful of these. Look, there's not... A lot of them are two-parters. And this is the way they get around it when they have stuff that's good for two-part. I'm okay with this because they're talking about stuff like Oklahoma City bombing or Waco or stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, here's the thing with FBI cases. They're interesting, but a lot of them are not necessarily what we party with like gang takedowns and drug busts.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's what a lot of them are about. But the murder ones are okay. And I've got a lot of thoughts about the production of this one. And also, I gotta say this. So this is definitely from the perspective of the FBI. They think they're hot. Kate, you with me there?
They do. While they're narrating it, they're acting like they invented crime solving.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I can't stress enough that it's first-person VO, right? Because they're saying we. Mm-hmm. So they're saying, we know why you guys love us so much. We know it. We know why we're always in the movies.
Right.
Finally, you're going to hear the true story. And it's like, guys, give me a break.
We understand why people want to tell stories about us.
There was another show just like this from the heyday of these shows. Late 90s, early 2000s, called The FBI Files, which more than one episode is on our list for potentials. So we'll be watching one of those eventually.
That I have seen.
Yeah. And that's another one that's funny because it's like, boy, these guys are smelling their own farts. But there's something funny about it because it's so old and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's not as offensive to me. And it's not first-person stuff at the beginning where it's like, we know you love us.
This is FBI True.
So the premise of this is that two FBI agents, they're getting together just to cheers and talk about some old cases. And they really push this because it opens up on this one agent, Christy Cottis. She's like the host of this. She also hosts a bunch of other ones. The ones I've watched, I've seen two different FBI hosts. It was this lady and then another lady. So it's not like somebody new every episode, but they show her walking into a bar And then they go down there, and then we got this other FBI guy there, Jeff Rinnick. This is the guy that we're going to talk to about the case that is highlighted here. And we're about to hop into that case. But again, I have so many thoughts on this setup. What do you think of this setup where it's just two people talking over beers? What do you think?
I was so distracted by the people behind Jeff at the tables. Were they real, or was that just background extras?
Oh, there's no way. I mean, the way that they shoot the open, she walks into it and stuff, this could be a real location. And future episodes, I've seen them shoot the same exterior a different way. But there's no fucking way those are real customers. Because one, how dark it is in there.
Very dark.
I mean, what the hell was up with the color on this? Did they not hire somebody to color grade this?
Oh, definitely not.
But I don't understand how I'm very aware of how many people have to approve an episode of something for it to make it to air. And I'm shocked that all the suits that watched episode 1 of FBI True were like, guys, the color looks great. Don't touch it.
It was dark and very desaturated.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like this is in the weeds, but it looks like there's no LUT on it yet. That's very in the weeds talk for you hold heads. That's technical talk. But it looks like it doesn't have a LUT on it at all, and it wasn't even touched. But yeah, those background extras, I really don't think... One, I was debating whether or not they're background extras or just straight up PAs or members of the crew that carried stuff in. Because that's the cheapest way to do it. Now, we're watching season 1 of this. Here's what's nuts, Kate. I was watching this going, okay, something tells me they've got to drop these background people. And I was also thinking, they're also served beers. Now, I've got a problem with this as an editor and as an alcoholic. Because, one, the lady looked like she was drinking real beer, like there were suds and stuff. But the other guy's drinking a water, which tells me he's probably on my side. He's probably like, I don't drink. I had a huge problem with it. Why is it a part of this show? Mm-hmm. But beyond that, it's the continuity of it. If they're drinking these cups, then in the edit, if you show that in the shot, you have to be aware of the level of liquid. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, well, if they're going to sit there, we have to see him sip it at least once. And the sips are awkward. I don't want to see him sip this shit. Does this jump out to you, Kate, or no? I mean, editor-wise, I watch this and I go, look at this. Like, they could barely even use the over-the-shoulder on her as to, like, cover edits or stuff.
Yeah, it was completely unnecessary. It added nothing to the story. It would be one thing if the crime they were discussing took place around a bar or something. But it's an added element that doesn't add anything.
Yeah, and I jumped ahead to season 7 because I was like, something tells me they dropped this right away. Now, they kept the bar and beer angle for a while. There's about 7 to 10 episodes a season. I think it's in like season 3. Guess where they shoot at now? And it makes a hell of a lot more sense. Just a coffee shop. Done. One, it's daytime, so the lighting's way better. Okay? It doesn't have to be dim and dark. And two, they've got opaque coffee mugs.
Right.
So we don't know what liquid's in there. Genius. Thank you. Like, that was the solve.
That works.
They still had people in the background, which really did shock me. But anyway, this show I did tell you about because it premiered in early 2023, and there have now been 7 seasons. There's been like...
How does that work?
There's like 3 seasons a year. Because this one has 7 episodes, I think. But this is just like boom, 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 boom. I couldn't believe it was in season 7.
That's just sloppy. I don't like that.
Well, you don't? Well, I would if I wanted to watch every single episode. But there's so many ones about the stuff that I don't party with. Like gangs and like people when they're on the hunt for people.
You said there's 7 episodes a season?
Roughly. I think season 7 has 12 now. But like this one is only 7 episodes, I think. Season 1.
So why not do like 15 a season and have there only be 1 season a year?
Great cue. I mean, I feel like it has something to do with production budget and stuff, right? Like this way, they have to renew it every 8 weeks instead of once a year. Like maybe it's easier. Honestly, it might be easier to keep the show on the air if they do it in these small chunks, I feel.
I hate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this one is called Horror at Yosemite. And this is about 4 murders that took place at Yosemite Park in 1999.
Are we going to talk about the title sequence?
We were just fucking talking about it.
No, you didn't talk about how Fox Mulder is in it.
Well, I didn't because, Kate, that's going to come up in my list. Now, I'd be more than happy to talk about it now. But go ahead, do tell us. Do tell us.
Well, they're just showing us clips of famous fake FBI agents.
Yeah. Like they...
And one of them is Fox Mulder. It's a clip of him from the season 5 episode, Small Potatoes.
Oh! You know the app. Look at you.
Of course I know the app, Kurt.
Very nice.
Written by Vince Gilligan.
Boom. That's a pretty good spot. Wasn't it? It's crazy to me, and through every season I've looked at the title sequence, they're still paying for these clips.
I was surprised. That's 20th Century Fox, and this is a Paramount thing.
Yeah. So they show Silence of the Lambs, X-Files, Try and Catch Me. Catch Me If You Can. They show Tom Hanks. FBI. And then, if Jillionaire was with us, she'd have her arms crossed because we didn't mention FBI, the show, first, because the last clip they show, the dude's running on the roof, that's from CBS's FBI.
It's Jillionaire's favorite.
She would have known right away, huh?
But she would have called it something else.
That was the first thing that blew me away, is that they're friggin' paying for movie clips for the title sequence.
See, they couldn't do color grading because of those clips.
That's exactly right. They're like, oh, shit. Why didn't we think about that before we dropped all this money for the opening titles? I think that's it. Right? You nailed it right there. I do have more on that, but we're kicking that down to the list. Because the timing of this to happen in this one, based on last week, Kate, I mean, it was pretty wild. I bet now you can't wait to talk about lists later. But anyway, back to the case. Here's the KMDB description. The FBI solves 4 murders that took place at Yosemite National Park in 1999. Nailed it. KMDB, nice and to the point. Wonderful stuff. We meet Christy Cottis, retired FBI agent. She's like the quote-unquote host of this. And they show, to give us a background on her, Kate, how'd you like the Photoshop moves they do on old pictures of them? When they're like, she was this, and they'd show a picture of her with a group, and then it'd go black and white behind her, and then she'd be in color, and it'd go, doo, 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 doo.
Yeah, very creative.
Christy Cottis is a 24-year veteran of the FBI.
What'd you think of her?
I don't know that she is the most effective host.
Okay, do tell.
I wasn't getting a whole lot from her.
One thing I kind of liked about it is that she was not a polished host, because sometimes her reactions were genuine and just like faces she made, you know? I liked that part of it, but you're right. I mean,
a lot of the times though, she's like, and then what? And then what did you do?
Yeah.
And then what did you say?
Yeah.
And what did he say?
What happens next, Jeff?
Yeah, that's true. Not very smooth. But hey, that's that realism they're bringing to this, okay? These are just colleagues shooting the shit. But she introduces us to Jeff Rennick, who also gets a hilarious picture introduction. And it's old-ass pictures of him, like, leaning against some car he has.
Always leaning.
How'd you like that? It was like some old-ass Corvette in a garage. And it was like, douche, doo, douche.
Jeffrey Rennick is a certified criminal profiler who worked at the FBI for 30 years on cases involving crimes against children.
I loved it. He is the one that was tasked with this case in February of 99. 3 women had gone missing on February 14th, Valentine's Day. They were staying at the Cedar Lodge, which was like, there's a lot of overnight options at Yosemite. The 3 missing people are Carole Sund, Juli Sund, and Silvina Pelosso. Carole Sund is the mom to Juli Sund, and Silvina was Juli's friend. So this is like a mom and then 2 teen girls. Mm-hmm. They were out looking at a college nearby, and then the second leg of the trip was they were to go hang out at Yosemite, and they hadn't been seen since the 14th.
And what we learned was that they drove down to El Percal and stayed at the Cedar Lodge.
We're seeing a lot of great old footage of this. Now, a lot of it has a CBS bug at the bottom, so we know it's in their library. But hey, they dug it up, okay? They went digging.
They did.
We see like a 1,000-person walk happening for the missing people. We see members of the family speaking back then. But this was the biggest search in California history. What'd you think about this search?
Well, the way Jeff worded that, though, it was kind of weird. He said he really flubbed it, and I was like, wait, who holds the stat for that? But the way he said it, he made it sound like there were Yosemites everywhere. And this one was the biggest.
Yeah.
It was the biggest search and rescue effort in Yosemite in California history.
But we see footage of the search, and they're talking about how they took planes to like search for them, fly around.
I love that he said that was crazy. I think that's pretty standard when someone goes missing in a wooded area.
Honestly, I think maybe it's crazy because usually it's a helicopter. Do you think that was it?
Maybe.
But I'm with you. He was definitely impressed with the planes. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking that's kind of how you search Parks, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, I've seen Cliffhanger. Okay.
It was so extensive, they actually flew a airplane up and down.
Were you familiar with this case?
No. Were you?
Yes.
Oh, what do you know from?
I have seen, I don't know if it's an old Dateline or an old 2020 or something, but I knew it very well.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, I did not know it. And for being so short, there was a lot of good stuff in here that could have been fleshed out. And one of them, which we'll get to later, on like my fifth watch as I'm taking notes, I had to double back and go, wait, what kind of colony was that? Wait, say that one more time.
Yes. Totally. Yep. Well, if you're wanting more, there are some other specials on it, but this kind of sums it up.
So this huge search and the FBI is brought in. Remind me, this is something I should know or remember from previous stuff. Do they, when there's a murder at a park, do they always bring in the FBI? Is that who gets called?
I think if the park rangers can't handle it, probably.
But it's not. They call the FBI not like a nearby sheriff's station.
Well, it's federal land, so it would go to the feds.
Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. So the next thing they do is, first things first, they got to talk to the family of the missing people. They talk to Carole Sund's husband. And I liked how quickly the dude was like, he didn't do it. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Right? Like this wasn't even a blip.
Nope.
The first person we interviewed was Carole's husband. And he was fine. I mean, we didn't think he had any culpability.
So the next thing they do is they're like, all right, we got to find the last people who saw them alive. This is when they're led to an employee at the Cedar Lodge. They don't say whether or not they saw the victims at all. But this employee, they search I assume dude's van. And what do they find in there, Kate? It's sprayed head to toe with what?
With sprayed what?
It's like they open up this dude's van. Inside it was covered in red stuff like crazy. And a preliminary test says that it could be blood.
Right.
And then, so like, and they say this as like, preliminary test showed it to be blood. Dun dun.
It was full of this dark red stuff that looked like dried blood.
And then the guy goes, and then it was a real bummer for us when we learned that the prelim test just shows if there's oxygen in it, which I guess is in blood as well as rust. Because that's what, it was just rust.
It was just rust.
Bummer. Friggin' rust. So there's oxygen and rust.
Well, doesn't rust happen when paint oxygenates?
Ooh, okay. That sounds right. I'm willing to buy that.
I'm not a scientist.
It makes me really question that prelim blood test. Like, why are you bothering with this if it can be blood or rust?
Why do a prelim?
Yeah. So they were like, yeah, I mean, it looked like blood, but it wasn't. A month goes by. Nothing's doing. It's now March 19th. A hiker brings in a license plate to a car he found. And that plate ends up matching the car they're looking for that had belonged to the three missing women. They go to the car and it's burnt beyond recognition. Now, before we talk about what they found in the car, I added that they say the guy took them to the car. But the way that they presented this, he only brought in the license plate.
And he says to him, I had a hiker bring me in a license plate of a car, and that license plate matches the car you're looking for.
So does that mean he removed the plate? Because obviously you can't carry a car in to show cops. Does this mean he removed the plate from the car and brought it into the station to show the Rangers?
Maybe, unless it was next to the car because the car, it like melted off of it or something.
Oh, so maybe he didn't remove it. He just picked it up and carried it. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that. Here's my concern. Now, this is coming from a world where, Kurt's Kick Ass List. In our day here, we just take a picture of that sign and then show it to him.
Yes.
Because I'm like, dude, why are you touching that thing?
Why are you contaminating the crime scene and involving yourself in it?
Yeah. But I guess you got to think in 99, maybe to prove, like, because it could, if you just reported it without that plate, it could be somebody going, oh, sure, there's a burnt car somewhere. Sure, dude. Like, we've seen enough lazy dum-dums. Like, maybe the plate was good because it made them go, oh, shit, this guy's not lying.
And do we want to talk about what kind of car it was, Kurt?
Well, I don't even know. I mean, if only we had an expert that could clear this up for us.
Beep, beep.
All right, let's hear it, Carcate.
A 99 Pontiac Grand Am.
Okay.
Bright orange.
Was it orange?
Yeah.
Whoa. Boy, 99, so that baby was brand new.
Brand new.
Wow. That's a good catch. There's another car that we'll talk about later that I was going to request Carcate's presence, but I didn't even realize they gave us the deets on this one.
Well, we saw it.
So what?
We saw it in a flyer where they said, look for this car.
Ah, okay. I thought it was yellow. I might be thinking of the burnt body pic, though. Not burnt body of the car. you know we're not seeing burnt body pics.
Yeah.
But we do see a picture of the burnt out car, and it's pretty toasted. And they pop open the trunk, and in there they find the skeletal remains of 2 women. I mean, they skip right over the sending out for results because they just say right away they found in there was the body of Carole Sund and Silvina. So like Juli Sund, the daughter of Carole, was still missing. But they do have 2 dead bodies accounted for. But this kind of makes him pick it up. And this was a moment where the FBI host was doing things you're saying, where it's like, and then what did you do? And then what did you do?
And then what happened?
Yeah.
And Jeff is saying, we're thinking Julie's alive. Why would you think that?
I know.
After a month, why would you think that?
And if those 2 are in a trunk, burnt to a crisp.
Julie's not alive.
I know. Maybe he did that for storytelling purposes because it was like trying to emphasize that this is where the search really ramped up. But we already know it's a super search because they had planes looking.
Right.
We're missing Julie, and we think she's alive.
A week later, the Modesto resident agency supervisor calls the FBI and says, I got a letter sent to me. Kate, what the hell is a Modesto resident agency supervisor?
Was this an FBI field office in Modesto?
Oh, okay. Maybe. And that's what because they get an anonymous letter from somebody. This was nuts. In the letter is a hand-drawn map, okay? And it says, written in the top, it's a very basic drawing. There's like a lake circle and like 2 roads, right? Mm-hmm. And it says, do you remember what it says at the top?
No.
We had fun with this one. So by seeing the word we, my first thought is this is a scam. Like this is somebody messing.
It's never a group of people.
Yeah.
It's always one person.
It's always just one person. So I'm kind of like, this is bogus. But the cops, what do? They get a cadaver dog from LA.
And the dog finds it instantly.
I mean, the guy literally says, the dog found the body within seconds.
Yep.
So we brought up a dog from LA, and based on the map, the dog located Julie's remains like within seconds.
Now, I was shocked by this, Kate, and I'm glad that you jumped on this too. This lake that they're talking about is Lake Don Pedro Reservoir. I Googled this, okay? I'm like, is this the smallest lake in history? Because this map didn't tell you where the body was, mind you. There's not like a circle or an X anywhere, right? It's just the lake.
And an intersection.
And an intersection, but it doesn't say like it's by the intersection or anything. It's just this friggin' lake. And I was like, okay, how big is this lake? This lake is 13,000 acres. Here's another way to put it into perspective for us non-acre people.
For people who've never lived on anything even close to an acre of land.
This helps a little bit. The shore length is 160 miles. Now, shore length is very iffy because shores, if you measure it, it's hard to define where the shore starts and ends. So this is kind of a ballpark figure, but that still means it's anywhere between 150 miles and 250 miles. That's a lot of that's a huge lake.
Yeah.
So yeah, the dog found it right away. Body was found at the base of a hill covered in brush, and they can tell that it was death by knife wound to the neck.
Brutal.
And then it's cut to more memorial footage. Wasn't there a lot of great old news footage in here? Of the search and the memorial and news reports.
There was. It made me feel so old because it was just 99 and yet it could have been Vietnam.
Yeah. I mean, you saying that car was a 99 is shocking to me.
I know. It could have been a rental. If they were making a long drive, they may have rented it.
Absolutely. That could be it. That could totally be it. Or what if that's why they wrote off the husband right away, is because it was the family car and the husband was home with no ride.
Could be.
And he was crying about his wife and daughter, but also his new car that just got killed. Anyway.
Orange Grand Am. My grandma had the same car. Not an orange.
Really?
Hers was in...
I mean, it sounds sporty. Is it not sporty?
Like a hunter green. No, it's terrible. It was a 2-door.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted it to be sporty. But it was not. Yeah. It was a terrible car. She was always having engine problems with it.
Yeah. That's so funny. 2-door is really, other than your classic J-Dubs. Jeep Wranglers are also 2-door. I mean, they come in 4-door. But my point is, 2-door, they're often trying to sell you that sporty vibe, but they'll put it on boats of cars. And I remember friends having cars like this in high school. And it was always such a pain in the ass to get in and out of them.
Very. Yes. And I don't like 2-door cars because the doors are extra heavy and wide. And it's, you need a bigger clearance. And you have to climb in and out and push that seat back and stuff. And it's very annoying. And oftentimes the seat belt is too far back, so it kind of chokes you.
Yeah, and you mentioned having to push the seat forward. This means that every time you have a third person in your car, you have to reset where you want your seat to be. I don't know about you. I hate having to do that at any point because I'm never convinced it was like it was before.
100% agree.
That enough is like off 2 doors for that right there. All right, so 2 doors suck.
Unless we are talking about a Porsche 911.
Of course.
But
Thank you, Car Kate.
I would argue that because the 911 is more compact, the doors aren't heavy and wide. They're normal size.
Yeah, and are there back seats in a Porsche 911?
There are, but they are basically for small children only.
Okay. Yeah. That's like the only way around it. 4 months pass, no new info. But on July 21st of 99, Joie Armstrong, early 20s, is reported missing. This was cool. She lived in the park in a cabin in a meadow. And what did the park, they paid her to be a...
She was part of a program where she was kind of like a ranger in training, where she came in and taught classes.
Yeah.
Her name was Joie Armstrong. She was in her mid-20s, and she was part of a park program to live in a cabin in a meadow.
It was very cool because she was young, but it was kind of like a work study, free room and board, but you had to do these classes, and she was kind of an expert on the park, and the house that she got to live in was in the park.
I mean, this had to be, I mean, this sounds like a dream scenario. If you want to be a ranger, I mean, this must have been so hard to get. Like, I remember certain, stuff that you'd apply for in high school, go like, I'm never going to be the one who gets to do this.
Definitely.
This sounds like one of those things, right?
And I know a lot of, so I was in Glacier National Park, or no, I was in Glacier Bay National Park. And the rangers that live there live in really cool houses, but there's no one around for hundreds of miles. So they are very isolated. And it's still a very desirable position within the parks community to get that gig. And this, for a young girl who isn't a ranger yet, it's got to be like an internship of a lifetime.
Yeah. Now, do you think there were other girls in the cabin? I would assume so, but I don't know if they said that.
Yeah, I assumed there were several bunking in there because it was kind of a big house.
Yeah.
But they never
It was.
mentioned it. They made it sound like it was just hers.
Yeah, because something's about to happen in there that it must have been empty. So, like, you look at the size of this thing, and I thought for sure there were at least 4 girls that lived in there.
Definitely.
But it's in the park, it's in a meadow, and she was supposed to go on a weekend getaway with her friends, but she hadn't shown up for that. And so her friends are worried about her, and after the weekend, they call the park, and they're concerned. So the park sends people out to do a welfare check on Joey's cabin, and then a few hours later, nearby, they find her body. I mean, this sucks. I mean, they didn't have to call in the super dog, but they find her body, and it was beheaded.
That was crazy. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, I already saw this. I knew this case. But if you were seeing it for the first time, you might be thinking, well, then they may not be connected, these murders, because that's not the same MO.
True.
She had been beheaded
Wow.
about 30 feet away. They were able to recover her head.
When I heard it, I thought, okay, this guy thinks he's smart, no prints or teeth or whatever. But then, in the next breath, the FBI guy says that they found the head 30 feet away.
Yeah.
So why'd you bother? Why'd you bother doing this, dude?
Very odd.
And we're going to find out it was with a knife.
That's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to do no matter what tool you have. Ugh, so crazy. But they do some more digging. They find out that the day she went missing, a person driving I have the exact name of this vehicle, but does Car Kate know it? Do you want to say it real quick? There was a car on the side of the road with a flat tire. Do you remember what it was?
No,
It was a light blue International Harvester truck.
you're right. I do remember the International Harvester, yeah.
The person driving that truck was named Cary Stayner.
His name was Cary Stayner. Everybody sort of remembered that name because Cary Stayner's brother was named Steven.
So I assume the ranger got his info when he helped him out with the flat? Is that what's going on? Or maybe he recognized him?
I guess so. Maybe he recognized him because we learned that he actually works in the park. So maybe the ranger knew him?
Maybe. But when we hear that name, Cary Stayner, the ranger and the town and the FBI definitely knew his name.
Yes.
This was another bomb drop in this episode, I thought.
I have some beef with this.
So do I. Want to hear yours. Hit me.
Because in the programs that I have watched about this case, this is a bomb that they drop way later.
Wait, in the other shows they drop it way later?
Way later.
Okay.
When we find out what happens to Cary, that's when they say, oh, and by the way, guess who his brother is?
Okay. Now, I mean, let's keep on.
They frame it like his past didn't influence the investigation. But here in this show, once they learn about his family and what happened to him, it informs how they investigate him.
Well, that's why I would argue, for someone who comes to this story the first time, I get why they present it now, because when the arrest is made, this background comes into play big time with this FBI guy, does it not?
It does.
And I explained to him that that's what I did. That was the work I did, dealing with abducted, murdered, sexually assaulted children. And I had also experienced the pain on the victims' families.
But I remember this twist being massive. Almost like they didn't find out until he was in prison.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, so here's the big bomb. We find out that Cary Stayner, the last name Stayner apparently rings all sorts of bells, because Stephen Stayner in 1973 had been abducted.
In 1980, Stephen Stayner became famous as the victim of a high-profile crime. He escaped from a child molester who'd held him captive for 7 years.
And it's like the story of the century. And like he was abducted by a child molester that goes on trial. We see that guy in court. Boy, does he look like a textbook pedo.
I remembered his mug because this was a huge case. And I remember seeing specials about that case. And then this Cary Stayner thing added on to that.
Yeah, that kind of rings bells over here, Kate.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm familiar with this, it's from that perspective.
Where it's like we go into detail for an hour about this abduction and 7 years.
Yes.
And then the bombshell there is that, oh, and by the way, his older brother is a serial killer.
Yeah, that totally rings some bells. That's true. Because they really blow over it here. And they blow over it in that, again, it's short, so they got it, I guess. But the way they present this, it's 1999 when this crime goes down. The kid was found 19 years earlier. Mm-hmm. Is it really still on the tip of everybody's mind in Yosemite?
I don't know. I mean, if we think about the baby that fell down the well, that was still on people's minds for like 30 years.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I think you proved it right there, I think.
Baby Jessica.
I don't even know if were we alive for that? But I know that as a reference. But I don't even know if I was alive when it happened.
Well, it happened in the 80s.
Okay, well, I was born somewhere in there. 84. It's already been established. I was born in 84.
And was I ever even born?
Well, now you're going to make me Google it because you're going to come at me with how young you are again.
No, I just
Let's
mean,
see.
Was I ever born at any time?
Oh.
Do I exist?
A question for the ages. 87. Boom. Hey, here's baby Jessica today. Crazy. She's an adult.
She would be, yes.
Okay, anyway.
As we are.
Yeah, if she was a baby in the 80s. Good point. Okay, so they look more into Cary Stayner. He lives at the Cedar Lodge. Now, that is where the 3 women were staying that were first murdered and found. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh boy. Then they go to Joey's cabin, and forensics does some stuff. This was again a timeline thing because they find tire tracks that match Cary Stayner's truck, but they also found sandal tracks. They say sandal tracks. That means like the Tevas that he's got on.
Mm-hmm.
They had tire tracks and sandal tracks in front of Joey's cabin that matched the tire tracks from Cary Stayner's vehicle. And that the sandal tracks matched the chevrons on Cary Stayner's sandals.
But how do they know that?
They have a unique tread. It could even say the name in the mud.
Well, wait, the FBI guy even said it, the chevrons on the bottom of the sandal matched it. So that means like the triangle line things. That's great. But we don't know what Cary Stayner's sandals look like until we arrest his ass, right? It's not like they took a shoe print when they fixed his flat tire.
Yeah, it is confusing. And this is what I mean about how they didn't know his past until way later, but they made it sound like it was during it.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. This kind of makes it clear for me if I agree now. This is like retroactively saying this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really stuff they all found while he was arrested and they were putting the case together.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So they find that stuff. So now they want to arrest Cary Stayner, but he's nowhere to be found. This whole thing with Joie Armstrong starts on July 21st. It's July 24th, a Saturday. Someone from the nudist colony, Laguna del Sol, calls the FBI and says Cary Stayner is here. What?
Now, how did that person know that they were looking for him?
Okay, it must have been on the news. I think a picture of Cary Stayner must have been on the news that they were looking for him, I think. But we're going to find out. So the FBI guy, the guy that we're talking to, Jeff Kinneck or whatever, he races to this. It's like 90 minutes away or something. This nudist colony. This was the thing that floored me later on, Kate, where I was like, how do I not remember this when I picked this episode? Like, this floated right over me.
Well, maybe because it was one sentence.
Yeah.
An individual from a nudist colony named the Laguna del Sol, just south of Sacramento, called in to say that Cary Stayner was there.
Who did he know there? Why was he there? What was going down at this nudist colony?
Yeah, and like...
Was he nude?
That's where I'm stuck on, Kate, because I said to myself, okay, if hiding in a nudist colony is kind of smart because you got to be naked and people aren't, that's usually I can't see people going out of their way to be like, is this naked guy who that they're looking for on the news or whatever? It seems like a smart decision, but do you remember why the owner of this nudist colony called the FBI and was so pissed?
Because he was wearing clothes. He wasn't nude.
Idiot! What an idiot!
And the manager of Laguna del Sol was waiting for me at the entrance, and he was fired up because he said Cary was clothed.
He had clothes on! What kind of a moron goes hiding in a nudist colony but doesn't get naked? What?
This kind of a moron.
I did such a 180 of like, oh, that was pretty smart. And then I find out he had clothes on. I think I fell out of my chair literally because I was shocked someone could be so stupid.
Was he shy?
Yeah, maybe that. Well, they were worried it was because he was hiding weapons, but I think that he was shy about his body, Kate.
He felt like his dick was too small.
My first visual of him at this news colony was him. I was still thinking about those sandals, and I was going, well, he could be naked, but still wearing those sandals.
Totally.
Right? Because I bet nudists are cool with wearing sandals to keep your feet safe and stuff.
I think it's exclusively Tivas.
Okay. But yeah, no, this idiot shows up there in clothes, refuses to get naked. So the FBI guy drives down, and so he's there to essentially arrest Cary Stayner, but before he can do a thing, Cary Stayner looks at Jeff, the FBI guy, and then puts his hands behind his head and gets on the ground. Like, this jig is up, and this guy knows it.
That's an admission of guilt.
So now they've got the long ride back to Yosemite. And this is where what we were talking about earlier with the previous case, because FBI Jeff, his whole thing in the department was he dealt with like abused children in like kidnapping situations.
Mm-hmm.
Not only on the victim, but on the victim's families.
So he bonds with Cary here and talks to him about his family and his brother. And he's like, hey, I looked for kids just like your brother, and I know from my own personal experience how much it can affect the family. Like, how did it affect the family when he came back and stuff? So now they're bonding.
And he's saying things like, I know that must have been really hard on you. Basically trying to get him to admit that maybe played a part in why he did a bunch of murders.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, by all accounts, Cary's loving it because he's opening up to Jeff. And then when they get to the station, he goes, hey, can I just talk to Jeff alone? And this is when I liked the FBI lady because she goes, wait, but that's against protocol.
You have to have two agents in there at all times.
She said that. Yeah.
FBI policy, you always have to have two agents there. What are you thinking?
And Jeff didn't really answer that. He just kind of kept telling his story.
He was like, yeah, well.
He did go in there solo.
He did.
So, and, is this when we're, yeah. Okay, so they see, so Cary gets his wish. Now he's talking to Jeff alone, and they recorded it, of course. And we get to hear a lot of it. I thought it was cool that they had the tapes.
What day was it that you murdered her? Today's what, Saturday?
And again, it's so hard for agents and detectives and cops to get respect from me because I'm convinced I know what to say in interrogations. Because what does this guy say? He says, you know what? Good people do bad things sometimes. Sometimes good people do bad things.
Help me help you.
Yes. That's what it is. It's like, I know you're not a monster. You're not a monster. You're a good guy. You're a good guy. You just got pressured and just got put in a corner and reacted. That happens.
I said, Cary, good people do bad things. It doesn't mean they're bad people. Let's talk about it.
Oh, and it works on this dum-dum because he straight up, he folds and tells them the full story about Joie Armstrong. And what happens with Joey? Like, why'd he do it? It's so frustrating and annoying. And it's also makes it clear he is a bad guy, obviously.
Yes.
He's not a good guy who did something bad.
He just was walking through the meadow and saw her. She was like...
Saw a hot chick.
She was leaving her house and going back and forth between her car and the house and carrying stuff. And he just happened to see the house and saw her and was like, all right. And went in and she fought, though.
He says, well, when I got her into the back room and I started duct taping her, she fought and fought. And this is hard for me emotionally, but she wanted to live.
So this is what made me think she lived alone, is because they went inside for a minute for the duct taping, right?
Yeah. But it could just be that her roommates weren't there. Because didn't some of the other rangers go to this other thing and she didn't go?
No, those were her friends. She was supposed to go on a weekend getaway.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. There was no word on if those were rangers.
Or I meant fellow park interns or whatever they were.
Gotcha. He says, I didn't intend to do this. I didn't go there to do this. And I was going to be like, Cary, jackass, why else did you go up to her with a gun in her back? Like, you planned this.
I wouldn't have killed anybody if I didn't see someone to kill.
Yeah.
That's his logic. Well, if the house wasn't there and if she wasn't there, I wouldn't have killed anybody. Okay.
So Cary's going on telling how in the truck she was fighting too, and fighting so well that she managed to hop out of the truck and run for it. Mm-hmm. And she's like, boy, this girl's really fighting. And at this point in the story, I'm liking it. And then it's a bummer because he's like, then I got out and chased her down and slit her throat.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks. And then so he slit her throat, and then time passes a little, and then he goes back to do the decapitation.
He went back later, yeah.
And then put it 30 feet away. It's like, why I'm so shocked by it is because in his interview, he's like, and I just went through with it. I just did it. I just finished the job. It's like, what do you mean?
You already finished the job. You killed her.
You killed her, dude. After he admits the decapitation, he says, Jeff, there's more.
But then he says, and there's more.
Oh, wow.
Now, we have a history of stuff that we've covered when they try and say, not only did this big thing happen, but this other big thing happened. Usually, the first thing they talk about is the big thing only. But this was a huge reveal, even if it happened so quick on the show, but he does have more to say, because Jeff is like, are you talking about the other 3 women that died at Yosemite?
Are you talking about the Cedar Lodge murders?
Yeah.
Because you were living there at the time.
Yeah. And he goes, yep.
And he's like, yeah.
So you want to hear that story too? And he tells it.
He was working as maintenance, and it was in the middle of the night. He goes to their room and knocks on the door and says, maintenance. And I don't know if it was because it was the middle of the night and they were like half asleep and confused, but they open the door and he comes in and he's got a gun. He kills the mom first.
He puts the 2 girls in the bathroom, kills the mom, puts her in the trunk, and then takes the 2 girls out. And then I think kills one of them.
Yes, and he says, I'm not going to hurt you guys. But he does. Now, was no one else staying at the lodge?
Yeah, how do you carry a dead body out? How do you shoot a gun at least once? Carry a dead body to a car. It was their car, too. How did he know it was their car? Like, he must have asked one of the alive ones, right?
And no one screamed.
Yeah. What about when they're in the... I don't know. It's hard to Monday morning quarterback this.
Now,
why didn't they say stuff in the bathroom? But
it was February, right?
Yeah, Valentine's Day.
Could be that the lodge was empty that time of year. Maybe there's snow, so not a lot of people can get up there. And it's obviously Yosemite is popping off in the summer, but maybe it's kind of empty in February and no one else was staying at the lodge.
Great point. So between that and the fact that it was in the middle of the night, people could have heard screaming and then didn't hear it again and then went back to bed. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've seen that a billion times. But he tells, the only one left is Juli Sund, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he takes her and he's like, I'm not going to hurt you, but let's lay down on this blanket real quick where nobody's at, and I'm going to slit your throat. Boom. Now you're dead too. Why?
What was the point?
Yeah.
He didn't even try to, he didn't like sexually assault any of them.
Oh, I assumed he did. They
never mentioned it.
They don't, but can you think back to your previous covering of this? I assumed he did. I mean, I would be shocked if he didn't.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just leave it at. I mean, this show does not mention it. They don't say that. So, what do you think? Should we just roll with it that they didn't? Should I not talk about how I assumed it happened? What do you think?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So he's got 2 of the dead bodies in the trunk. He takes their car out in the middle of nowhere, leaves it there for 2 days, and then comes back to torch it. But for whatever reason, I guess he couldn't fit the 3rd body in there.
Yeah.
But so he had thrown him in the trunk, lit it on fire, and gotten out of there. So now he fessed up, and it's on tape. You think, oh, he's not going to plead not guilty, right?
Wrong. He pleads not guilty due to insanity.
Classic. If I were him, the only way I would make that declaration, when they say you're crazy, like you planned all this, you knew that you were guilty, I'd go, okay, but who would hide at a nudist colony wearing clothes? Who would do that but an insane person? I rest my case, Judge.
Yeah, but he knew what he was doing, and he knew it was wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So he gets the friggin' death penalty. He's still on death row at San Quentin as we speak. He's been there since 2002. Now, I know that, I guess for a second I go, wait, no way California still has the death penalty, right? Because when I think of California, I think of LA, and I lived there, and I think of how liberal and awesome we were. But truly, most of California is not cool and awesome like that, right? Isn't that true?
A lot of it is very conservative.
So
the whole Central Valley.
Yeah, and so I was looking at the death penalty stuff for California. In 2019, it still exists to this day. But in 2019, Gavin Newsom put a moratorium on it. So that meant you can get sentenced with death, but it won't be carried out. Like it was like moratorium not abolished. So like death row still exists, even though
it's just on pause until there's a Republican governor.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I guess that's what it is, right? Like, so that's why it's still active. It's like we'll keep you until we have someone who could, because there is a lot of legislation going back and forth of it, how to get rid of it or whatever. But yeah, he's still there kicking it. When I was looking into this, I saw a pic of the gas chamber that they disassembled at San Quentin in 2019. One, it was a crazy looking, it looked like a submersible or something. It was wild. But inside this thing, Kate, 2 chairs.
Ooh.
When are they doing 2 at a time?
I don't know. Husband and wife? His and hers?
I guess, but for how difficult it is to actually put someone to death, you know how it takes 20 years of appeals? Mm-hmm. When would they ever
get 2 on the same day?
I mean, that must be 100 years old. Like back when they would murder somebody a week after the trial, right?
Maybe.
I couldn't believe seeing 2 chairs in there. That shocked me. All right, that brings us to our list, I believe. Kateline, what do you got?
Kate's unnamed list. Just car Kate today.
Yep.
We got that hideous 99 Grand Am.
Yeah. Yo, and the International Harvester.
And the International Harvester. I don't know why that wasn't a bigger deal for me.
I think it's funny that that's the one I was hooked on to, and you were hooked on the other one. Like, we both didn't really know about the other car the other person was thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good showing. That's 2 cars for Car Cape. Beep, beep, indeed. Mm-hmm. On to Cart's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
Got 2 items. They're both kind of the same type. First one I'm going to talk about is when Stayner got on the ground and put his hands on his head at the nudist colony. His reaction was, "What in the wide world of sports is this guy doing?"
Yes. I'm so glad you caught that. It was such an odd line.
And an old one too, because that's referencing programming that used to be on in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Like, how long did Wide World of Sports last? Not into the 90s, I don't think.
That's very funny.
So we're like, what in the wide world of sports is this guy doing?
So when he said that, I was like, oh yeah, awesome. A reference to old ass TV sports coverage on regular network TV. I was
on ABC.
What in the wide world of sports? Oh my God, I loved it. And then number 2 is 4 things, because I'm including all the movies we saw in the title sequence. Mm-hmm. We're talking about movies. Now, Kate, I see your head nod there. And do you know what I'm going to ask you right now?
No. What are you going to ask?
So you admit that those things should be on my list. You admit that those...
Because they are in the title sequence, not in the show itself.
But you agree. But let's play it out. I know that you know what I'm talking about, but let's let the whole heads realize.
No, I guess I don't agree. It's in the opening titles. It's not in the show.
Wrong. You say that this works, but for some reason the puzzle piece.
Well, I care.
Of Curious Case of didn't count.
I care more about Fox Mulder than I do puzzle pieces.
But I just think in a world where I'm sitting here saying you were 100% correct about the coffins, I'm also sitting here saying you're 100% wrong about this.
Kateline, you busted.
Oh, well, that's all I got on my list. Some great stuff. A fun little shorty. I'm not sure what we're going to cover next week, but it's probably going to be super dope. You got anything else, Kateline?
I don't think so.
And on that note, I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
What happens next, Jeff?